Hey everyone, so on today's episode I wanted to talk about the amps that it looks like we are going to be getting for the Sob Rock tour. John posted a picture from rehearsals as well as used the same amp rig for the Sirus XM show, so it looks like this is the combination we are going to be getting. And this combination is kind of the magic John Mayer combination that we've come to know really since the trio era of a Fender amplifier, a 2-Rock, and a Dumble. These three amplifiers he's recorded with, he's toured with, and this is kind of like the Mayer thing. It's kind of the quintessential Mayer rig, is the combination of these three amps, creating a very unique and brilliant sound. Now, in this specific case, we have the 2-Rock John Mayer signature amplifier, we have the Dumble Steel String Singer 004, and we also have this really unique Bandmaster. And John actually used this same, what we believe to be the same Bandmaster during the Battle Studies era. And sometimes it's kind of hard to spot, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't even realize that it was in the rig, because during the Battle Studies era, he had the Dumble and the 2-Rock, or two 2-Rocks, whatever was going on two Alessandro cabinets, and then the Bandmaster actually sat on his pedal rack unit. Set up there, not on cabs, and you'd always see a third mic placed on a third cabinet because, well, he was also micing the Bandmaster. But now it's more obvious during the 2019 World Tour, as well as this year when he's actually using three amplifiers, because you get three sets of cabinets all like this layout. Now, before you guys run out and buy yourself a vintage Bandmaster, the rumor that's been going around since the Battle Studies era is that this amplifier was modded by the late, great Howard Alexander Dumble. I tried to do some research and I chatted with some of my friends about finding a proper source on this rumor, which is why I'm calling it a rumor, because I can't find anything other than a few threads just kind of be like, oh yeah, it's modded by Dumble, but no real source, because you guys know me, I like to have a real source and provide a real decent source for you guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Dumble modded Bandmaster, but who knows, it could just be a vintage one, but I have to point that out for you guys. Now, as I mentioned before, the Battle Studies era amp rig, this is pretty much that amp rig we have in terms of the heads being used at least. 2-Rock John Mayer signature, the vintage Bandmaster, and then a Dumble Steel String Singer, this time being 004 instead of 002, because back then he didn't own this specific Steel String Singer. But it's really cool that we're kind of seeing almost a old school Mayer amp rig be brought out, and we know for Sob Rock he was recording with a combination of three amplifiers. Now, these amplifiers are sat in a very similar way to the 2019 World Tour, where they're on PRS cabinets. I believe at least the 112s are PRS cabs. We know for sure the one in the middle is just a debadged JMod cab. That's kind of what he was using during the 2019 World Tour. During rehearsals, we saw ones with logos on them, and then we saw them actually be debadged, and this just appears to be totally grilled because there's no marks where the badge would have sat. But that's kind of what's going on, and the difference between this and obviously in the 2019 World Tour is that instead of there being two 212 JMod cabs and then one 112 cabinet, we have one 212 and two single speaker cabinets. Now, in this specific case here, I'm willing to bet that what cab the amp sits on is what it's going through. So the 2-Rock going through one of the 112s, the Bandmaster going through the other 112, and then the Steel String Singer going underneath the 212 JMod cabinet. Now, what's kind of interesting to note too is that during the 2019 World Tour, I'll flash a picture of that amp rig on screen, while the 2-Rock sat on the 112, the 2-Rock was actually going into the 212 that the JMod was under. The JMod was the one that was going into the 112. So it's kind of worth noting that the JMod, which isn't even in this amp rig anymore, it looks like, was actually going through the smaller cabinet, not the larger one. Just an interesting note from the 2019 World Tour. Now, one of the big questions I was getting was when John was doing the performances on the late night television shows for the Sob Rock kind of release, is that he was using a old school 2-Rock custom reverb signature with the Dumble Steel String Singer 004, and then he was also using a Fender Vibroverb. Now, I personally was really looking forward to seeing that Vibroverb be used live with him again. To me, that's just an iconic amplifier from my favorite era, the John Mayer Trio. He's kind of shown it a little bit over the years, and I was hoping we'd get it live again, but the vintage Bandmaster is really wicked and super cool as well. And of course, a lot of people too were asking me, oh, do you think he's going to ever use his Mayor signature amplifier again? And I think it would have been a pretty weird move if he stopped using his Mayor signature 2 Rock for the actual tour. But it was kind of interesting that he did bring out that custom reverb signature that he was using during the trio, as well with the Fender Vibroverb. We were getting pretty much a trio rig for, well, actually was the very last show of the trio. We were getting pretty much that exact rig for those performances. But now we're getting something a little bit, maybe I guess more refined out for what he wanted to tour with. Maybe that was a test phase, and who knows what was going on with the JM Sig, but now he's clearly decided this is going to be the touring amp rig. Now, as far as the speakers in these cabinets, as far as the 112s are concerned, now that there are 2 of them, I honestly don't know, and anything I could say would be just a genuine guess based on kind of his history, but I don't know honestly what's in them. As far as the 212, I'm willing to bet though and say that those are G1265 Celestians that are in there. Historically, that's been what was in those 212 JMod cabinets, and I don't think he changed that. The 112s is where it kind of can depend on the scenario. But yeah, as far as speakers go, I think something like that is definitely what you're most likely going to see in there. And that's pretty much it. The only other thing I could really say is that there was what appeared to be a backup John Mayer signature 2 Rock actually behind the Dumble. I'm sure you guys have seen the video where I kind of highlight John's Dumbleland Overdrive Special dying on him during Dead & Company, and appears he has a backup amplifier right behind the rig, just ready to go just in case that happens now. Just kind of funny. I'm sure he's always had that, but I just had to note that, and I thought it was kind of amusing. I do overall think that this is going to be the basic formula and pretty much the amp rig that we are going to get for the Sob Rock tour. You never know, he might change a few things, like even during the 2019 World Tour, we saw some experimentation with what Still String Singer 004 or 002 was brought out. Even the old 2 Rock Sterling was brought out for those Continuum shows, which was so epic. You never know, maybe he might do something like that again. But I think overall this formula is what we should expect for the show going forward, unless something drastically changes in John's mind that he's not happy with the sound he's getting anymore. And also overall, I think it's an interesting amp rig in terms of it's an evolution of the 2019 World Tour rig, but at the same time, it's looking back upon kind of like the Battle Studies era and the sounds he was getting of old. The Search for Everything now is especially looking like kind of a really weird era in terms of the amp history for John. You know, no 2 Rock, the Dumble was only brought out for the trio set. It just was a weird era, and in the continuity of everything, it doesn't really fit. That's why some people personally don't think the tones are as good in that era as 2019 or the Born and Raised eras. But there you guys have it. That's what we should expect for amps as far as they are concerned for the Sob Rock tour. I'm super excited for the tour. I am super excited. I will hopefully be seeing John very, very soon, it sounds like, in person, in concert. So I'm really, really stoked for that. Let me know your comments down below if you guys were expecting something else, if you think this is a great amp rig, if you're unhappy with some of the choices like the Bandmaster, for example. Just let me know in the comments down below, and all those comments do help feed the algorithm, so they're greatly appreciated. And until the next one, you guys, thank you so much for watching.